Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks here for our Week 11 recap show presented by Folly Road. Jerel, a first for us in having a Week 11 to cover. I've not done that before, but although it was a smaller slate because not everybody played, we still had some really big ball games and really excited to talk about some of those that, decided region titles and playoff seeding on Friday night.
Yeah, colossal matchups across the state in all classifications. So it was cool to see those scores rolling in on Friday. Bittersweet, like you mentioned, we've never had a Week 11 before, so we definitely appreciated some bonus regular season football. But I'm excited to go into the postseason. Again, don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about that on Tuesday. Let's recap what we saw last Friday night.
If this is you guys' first time tuning in, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show like Jerel teased there. We'll have that about 7:15 on Tuesday night live on Facebook and YouTube. We'll break down all of the week's biggest matchups and the whole slate from across the state. We do a recap show that comes out on our podcast platform Sunday or Monday morning. We've got coach interviews, player interviews, lots of really good stuff throughout the week on all our social pages. Check them out to get all of that content that we put out and provide for you guys. As always, get your Moving the Chains merch, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can email us there for all your questions or orders. We have hoodies, a white/lighter gray one, also another gray one. We have toboggans, black and gray, lots of really good hats, Richardson hats, Yupong hats, really high-quality stuff there. T-shirts, a pink one, a navy blue one, a gray one, and a black one. Get your stuff. Support us, man. It's really high-quality stuff too, Jerel. I wore my hat and my hoodie on Friday. Felt great. Temps are falling, so it's time to get some of that warm weather stuff as you get ready to check out some of these ball games here on Friday nights.
Hey, man, it's starting to get chilly. I did some hunting this weekend. It started rolling in on Saturday night, so make sure you get that, cold weather gear. Hoodies, I love it. I wear mine all the time. Hats as well, the Richardson hats. I've worn a Richardson hat almost completely out, which is dang near impossible to do. So go get the stuff. It's quality gear, supports our brand, and really helps us provide more content exposure for South Carolina high school football.
Put Founders in the game and win big with our great rates. Whether you're looking for a loan or want to grow your money with a certificate, Founders Federal Credit Union can help you move the chains on your financial goals. Not a member? No problem. Visit foundersfcu.com to see if you qualify. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row. Very good polos.
Let's start with our Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates games of the week, Jerel. 5 of the biggest matchups across the state here in our Kona games of the week. Let's go through those.
Yeah, we'll start with the colossal matchup that you and John covered Friday. This is a game that's been circled since, the preseason, since the schedules were released, and that's Dutch Fork and Irmo. Crosstown rivals here. I think this is the first meeting in 5 years between the two. Dutch Fork's just able to lean on that defense, what they've done all year, and win this game 24-14. Impressive showing, though, by Irmo, especially in the early going. But that Dutch Fork defense really suffocated that offense, high-powered offense of Irmo in the second half.
Awesome ball game, awesome atmosphere. I think it had to be sold out. Both sides packed, man, just a great crowd there between, like you said, two crosstown rivals that just don't play as much as they should. So really good to see them get together there. The game started out a little bit precarious there for Dutch Fork. They get the ball. They have a nice drive going, throw a pick in the end zone. Irmo runs it out to the 7 and go on a 93-yard drive to take a 7-0 lead early on, man. Really impressive stuff. A.J. Brand was doing his thing, getting out of sacks and making nice runs, throwing some nice balls as well. They go up early. Dutch Fork, of course, comes back. And then, after that, Irmo did not move the ball a whole lot. They scored one more touchdown in the second quarter. It was really a kind of a crosser, maybe a post pattern. Brand throws it. It gets tipped. Should have also, been knocked down on 3rd and long. Ends up falling into the receiver's arms. He takes off Malik Miller to the house. He's like 70-yarder there. to give them 14 points. But outside of that, it was really all Dutch Fork. Man, Ethan Alfie and a couple touchdown runs, a touchdown pass to Boykin Bickley. The second half, that Dutch Fork defense shut out Irmo. They really, really played well. Josh Smith, the SC commit that just announced on Tuesday, he's a stud for them. Raleigh Salters is kind of the unsung hero as a linebacker for them. He was over the field. He had a fumble recovery and a pick late in the game to really seal it. Elgin Sessions, a defensive back, man, is probably, if not the best DB in the state, he's the top 2 or top 3, man. He gets it done. Just blanketed those guys all night long. A good Irmo team with weapons like Malik Miller and Donovan Murph kind of held them both in check. Miller had the long touchdown on the tip pass. Murph had a few grabs here and there, but never was really able to get a big one and break a big one loose there. The Dutch Fork defense was just super, super impressive. But the same thing you said about Irmo's defense, man. They did a great job as well, holding a high-powered Dutch Fork offense, averaging 40-plus per game to 24 there. And 7 of those were on a short field after one of those fumbles that Irmo had in the first half. So they did a great job on that side of the ball. I do think Dutch Fork may have not let off the gas, but didn't push it as hard on offense. They have to kind of, help their defense out. Like they didn't really go full throttle because they didn't want to have any turnovers or, wasted 3-and-out possessions. So they may have slowed down a little bit there to help out the defense, but still a great showing from them on both sides. I was really impressed with Irmo as well, man. I think these are two teams that easily could, win the state title, or at least be playing for the state title here in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about this game here. A region championship was decided, but you have one Division I, one Division II team. So these guys could still win 5A titles, as we talked about last Tuesday, in the same town of Irmo. So it's really cool. It seems like it was a great environment. I've seen pictures and saw, various posts and things like that. I was extremely jealous that I was not able to attend this one, but it was a fantastic showing.
I'll say it, Jerel, there were millions of photographers and videographers there, so I'm sure you can find tons of clips all across social media, man. Everybody was out there videoing that one. But we called up with Elgin Sessions and Josh Smith after the game. Those interviews are on all of our social pages. Check those out. Really good guys to talk to, man. 2 Division I, Power 4, Power 5 technically prospects. Elgin going to West Virginia, Josh Smith going to South Carolina there. Just really good interviews, and love talking to those 2 guys. Do want to shout out some other friends we saw: Coach Brand, Coach Knotts, Coach Braswell from Dutch Fork. He helped out a lot this week. Coach French as well for Dutch Fork. Lots of great fans of the program. I know Jesse Bryant was down there, Scrocky Sports, and the High School Blitz guys, and lots of Dutch Fork parents. Got to talk to them. It was a lot of fun, man. A lot of folks that enjoyed the program. We really appreciate them tuning in and checking us out. I think it was Victoria we talked to after the ball game, and a couple other coaches too. And I can't remember all the names. I'm sorry, fellas, but enjoyed talking to everybody. Had a really good time down there in Irmo for sure.
That's awesome. The first time MTC heads down to Dutch Fork, you guys got a great warm welcome. So it's fantastic to see. And again, these are 2 teams that are going to be a problem in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. It's not really a loss for Irmo, man. That just shows how good that team is and how they can compete. But another big-time 5A matchup in that area, we had Sumter and Ridgeview. Unfortunately, this one did not live up to the billing. The Gamecocks are just continued their war path that they've been on, through this season. They went at 49-6. This is a Ridgeview team that had really been surging, really playing well under your young quarterback Trey Howard there, but they just couldn't get anything going, and the Gamecocks just pummeled them.
Sumter, they had 2 guys rush for 100-plus yards. Neither one of them was John Peoples. He ends up running, I think, for 96 and a touchdown. Yeah. Their all-time touchdown leader. He had a good game as well. But Franklin Richardson, Cam Fortune had big-time gains for them. But we've talked about their offense this year. It's really impressed us and has really, looked explosive and just hung numbers on everybody. But that defense, man, holding a pretty good Ridgeview offense to 6 points, really impressive on that side of the ball. Ty Marys, Thompson, Durant, Anthony Addison, Burson, those guys can really get it done. They are flying around for Coach Barnes. They're a team that I think is very dangerous here as they roll into the playoffs.
Hey, they say offense sells tickets, but defense wins championships, and we're in championship phase now. So Sumter, even if they don't bring their best, ball game on the offensive side, it seems like they're going to be able to compete regardless. So big-time performance from those guys. Talk about a crazy game in the upstate, another 5A game. Region 2 in the reservation. never fails. Typical Gaffney fashion. They win this game 27-24 over Spartanburg. Big time comeback in the second half. Kevin, I looked down at my phone. This game was 24-7. You know, I had taken Spartanburg on the show. I'd taken Spartanburg on a pick'em contest, and I was like feeling really good about myself. A few minutes later, I turned back, and it's completely flipped on its head, man. The Indians just find ways to win this game, win games when you don't think that they have a chance.
And you failed to mention there's 24-7 in the fourth quarter as well.
Yes.
That score line, man. And they have, you know, a couple touchdown passes to Shane Davidson kind of in the corner of the end zone. Javon Gilmore gets to go. And the big play really was they pick up a fumble punt by Spartanburg in plus territory, leads to a touchdown there. Jay McDowell had the game winner. Glad to have him back and healthy, it looks like. Because, I mean, this game looked like Spartanburg all night long. I mean, you know, a nice touchdown pass to Rice. Trenton Lynch gets loose. I mean, they're pulling away. Like, man, this Spartanburg team is legit. They played so good lately. They continued it tonight. And a switch just flipped all of a sudden at the reservation, man. They say there's ghosts there, and I think they woke up on Friday and helped out the Indians to a big win there. I know Coach Jones last season, he goes out as the region champ, man. Last home regular season game, they win that one. Really cool for them. A Gaffney team that, you know, that's kind of, I think that's probably the spark they need is going into the playoffs, man. They're all of a sudden now hopefully rolling again, playing good football. Just a great win for them. Just did not see it coming when you looked at that score line going into the fourth quarter for sure, but great win for the Indians.
And one thing we'll say about Gaffney this year is they're battle tested.
Yes, sir.
They played so many close games, 3 overtime games. I mean, they just find ways to get it done. And when you do that, like, your confidence just has to be through the roof that you're never out of the fight. And we saw that on Friday night. Spartanburg, though, man, they have been playing so well, not just lately, but all season. You have to, like, kind of worry about what that's going to do for their psyche as they go into the playoffs. You know, will it be a situation where it snowballs the wrong way, or will they use it as motivation to propel them, you know, to great things after falling short in this region championship game? We'll see in the next few weeks, but that is a fantastic ball game. Another great one, another tight one. We had North Augusta and Gray Collegiate. This was a big one for a region championship as well. Both of these teams have been playing fantastic football down the stretch, but North Augusta is able to win it 20-17. Gray Collegiate's got all kinds of stuff going on with their program right now, but that was still an impressive performance by them in defeat. But you have to give North Augusta their flowers. They just continue to win, and they continue to do it, you know, in all sorts of fashions.
Just an awesome win, because that game could have got out of hand. You know, Corey Tillman throws a pick six right out of the gate. They go down 7-0. They get stopped. Gray Collegiate, then BJ Montgomery breaks like a 60-yard touchdown. They go up 14-0. We're like, oh, man, here we go again. But the Yellow Jackets fought back. You get a nice run from Tillman down to the goal line. Doe scores, make it 14-7. I think they cut it, 17-13, I believe, either right out of half. I think it may have been there. But really impressive for me was the North Augusta defense. You know, that they give up 17 the first half, shut out Gray the second half there. They do get a pick in the end zone by Ty Burke, I think in the third quarter, maybe late fourth quarter there to hold them out. But really great on the defensive side there for the Yellow Jackets. And then the play of the game, I think I sent you guys the clip. And if you haven't seen it, go on social media and check it out. The fade route, jump ball, whatever you're going to call it, touchdown pass from Tillman to Connor Brown, about a minute 20 left. Back of the end zone, somehow goes up and gets 1 foot down. Just an unreal play from Brown, man. A heck of a catch in traffic. A guy that, you know, I'm so happy for him too, because he started off the season so hot, got hurt. I think it was a collarbone he broke, so was out for a majority of the season. Now is back, is able to play football and play meaningful football for the Yellow Jackets. Coming up with that huge play was just awesome to see. Great win for North Augusta, region champs on the field. Doesn't even matter what happens in the hearing for them, man. They had a great win on Friday. Coach Bush's group, just a nice season. You know, we thought they were pretty good all year long, but weren't really sure how good. Man, that was a big-time win on Friday. That really impressed me. And then Gray Collegiate, who knows, that could be their end of their season, could not be. I guess we'll find out, I think, on Tuesday. The next hearing is going to be a very talented bunch. So, you think if they get in the playoffs, they got a chance to make some noise, but we'll see how it goes. But for now, man, great win by the Yellow Jackets. Coach Bush's bunch is ready for a playoff run. I think they opened up a lot of eyes on Friday with that win.
Most definitely, including me. I picked Gray Collegiate to win this game, and North Augusta went out and proved it. They've played fantastic this year. Very deserving to be region champions. And like you said, got it done on the field. This wasn't a forfeit or anything like that. Both of these teams, played this contest. So I'm sure it was very difficult planning this one in practice this week, not just for the Gray side, but also for North Augusta. So to lock in and have a fantastic football game, I'm sure it was a treat for all of the fans there. Keeping it in the CSRA, Kevin, though, another barn burner. Batesburg-Leesville 8, Strom-Thurmond 7. This was a difficult one because this is a tiebreaker type game, so that's why this game was coached the way it was. Another one, I'm looking at my phone on Friday night, and I see that Strom-Thurmond is winning this game into the fourth quarter. This is after we saw Batesburg-Leesville completely destroy Saluda at Saluda. Strom-Thurmond lost to Saluda earlier in the season, so they had to win. I think it was by 11, 12 points, 13, something like that. 13. Yeah. So right there in that region. So had a little bit of fake punt situation there that I'm sure you'll go through in detail. Nonetheless, Batesburg-Leesville is able to squeak by the outright region champions here. Strom-Thurmond goes to the 3 seed, but that had to have been a fantastic football game to watch in the Peach Fields.
That is the Strom-Thurmond defense that I think you and I were expecting against Saluda. We saw them play against North Augusta, and they held that high-powered offense to 14 points. Yes. And we're like, you know what? They can play with anybody in 2A, especially. They play Saluda, go up 35 in the Peach Fields. We're like, what the heck's going on here? Like, maybe they're not as good. I don't know. And then we saw Saluda's offense last week against Batesburg-Leesville. We're like, how did they go up 35 to these guys? But then this Friday, the Rebs showed up, man. Holding basically shutting out a very good Panthers team with Watkins and Wood and Witt until the fourth quarter. Like you said, they're up 7-0. You get a fourth down, I think, inside your 15, and you could punt it away, and you probably have a pretty good chance to win the game, but you're probably going to win 7-0, and that doesn't do you any good. So that they fake a punt there to try to keep the drive going, try to pop one and go down the score and win by a couple scores and win the region, and it doesn't happen. It leads to a Madre Wooden, I think, touchdown run, and he maybe at the 2-point as well. Somebody at the 2-point, I think it may have been him, because I believe they jumped offside or something like that to move it a little bit closer, and then basically Leesville converted to win the game 8-7. But I know Coach Webb's catching a lot of flack for that, but I don't blame him. I mean, he said it in I think a newspaper article. He's like, we don't play to win games, we play to win region titles. And I think he had told the guys, ahead of time this week, like, hey, we've got to win this game by X number of points. If there comes a situation, we're going to have to go for it, or we're going to have to do something crazy. And that's what it came down to. You hate that. I mean, you wish you could just play it out and then maybe go to a coin flip or whatever it is. But I mean, they had to win by 13, and they were trying their best to do that. But they certainly played well enough, it feels like, to win that football game. The score obviously does not reflect that because they lost, but a very impressive win by the Rebels, man. And on the flip side, the Panthers, that gives me a little bit of worry, just a little bit, because I was very, very impressed with them last week, and I thought they were going to handle this Strom-Thurmond team pretty easily. They did not. They still got a lot of firepower for sure, a lot of talent there, but just a great ball game, hard-hitting ball game, it sounds like, for sure.
We talked about this, though. I mean, matchups matter, and that just may be a situation where that Strom-Thurmond defense, they're always very physical and, stout at the point of attack. And we saw it again. You mentioned them playing North Augusta. North Augusta couldn't get anything going in that game against that Strom-Thurmond defense. So it could just be a matchup situation here. And it could have been the same thing when they played Saluda a couple of weeks ago. It did not work in their favor against that team. So fantastic football game there. Again, I'm with you with Coach Webb. Go for it, man. I mean, of course, if you win, I guess you get a share of the title, but you don't win any of the tiebreakers. So what's the point of that? I mean, your seeding is still going to be lower in that situation. So I'm a go for it guy. I'm a it is what it is type situation. But again, Batesburg-Leesville gets it done. A little bit of a gift, I would say, in that situation, to win it that way. But it is what it is, but a fantastic ball game nonetheless. Again, our Kona games of the week: Dutch Fork 24, Irmo 14, Sumter all over Ridgeview 49-6. We have Gaffney coming back in the fourth quarter to knock off Spartanburg 27-24. North Augusta doing the same thing. They beat Gray 20-17, and Batesburg-Leesville scores a late touchdown and 2-point conversion against Strom-Thurmond, winning that game 8-7. Kevin, let's flip down to our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week. Unfortunately, our last HTC game wasn't a very close contest. We had Carolina Forest all over North Myrtle Beach, 49-24. That Carolina Forest offense has really been putting up some points as of late.
On the ground, especially, Jerel Fox has just had another big game, man. They are just – I think they're the class of that region. They proved it the last few weeks here, defeating Myrtle Beach and North Myrtle Beach pretty handily there. Coach Morris's bunch is a good squad. I don't know if they're as good as they normally are, it feels like. Maybe a step back, but they were still the best in that class, best in that region down there. Big win for them. North Myrtle Beach, man, I do want to give them a hat off, props for turning it around, because they were in such a bad spot out of non-region. Kind of got healthy there and had some nice wins, and made a nice little run in the region play. But still, Carolina Forest just too much firepower. Jerel Fox especially, big win for the Panthers.
Those guys are really getting it done. Let's see if they can translate that into the playoffs. And then, like you said, North Myrtle Beach, what a turnaround. Winning the games when they started mattering in region play. So good for them. Hopefully they can also extend their season a few weeks in the playoffs. Kev, let's flip down to Hannah Engineering and our pick and contest sponsors. We have 4 more games here. We had River Bluff and Lexington in the Midlands. River Bluff is able to win this one 24-10. River Bluff is a team that is played really well. That region has just been extremely difficult, but that is a big-time win for those guys.
I mean, they're a team that we saw a few weeks back, and even in a losing effort, we were kind of impressed with what they did, especially defensively, it felt like. And I think they've kind of figured out the offense the last 2 weeks with Parker Murray coming back at quarterback. They've gotten, Collier involved. They got the run game going a little bit. They're a dangerous football team. They've played some really tough, opponent. I think in that region, I believe I saw that everybody finishes 500 or above, I think, in that region this season. So a lot of really good teams right there in that Midlands 5A. But, yeah, big win for River Bluff. I think I don't know how good they are, how deep of a run they can make, but they have some talent. They can knock off anybody, it feels like.
Heading over to the northwest corner of South Carolina up here, Oconee and Pickens counties, we had Daniel and Seneca. This game was supposed to be played the week of Hurricane Helene. Got pushed to the end of the season. These guys are rivals, I would say. Daniel obviously holds the upper hand, and they win this game handily 42-21 over the Seneca Bobcats. Can anybody stop Daniel right now?
This one was close for a little bit. The first half, I was like, oh, now Seneca's kind of hanging in there. But then, Grayson Clary does his thing, man, just throws for tons of touchdowns, tons of yards again, man. The sophomore, our player of the week from last week, literally could be our player of the week every week, it feels like, man. Just a great game from him again. The Lions are poised to make a deep run. That Upper State 4 is going to be so fun, and they're playing great football right now.
Flipping it down to the low country, we had Hilton Head and Bluffton. Hilton Head is able to win this one 42-7. I think that's down there in Region 6, I want to say, in 4A. But Hilton Head is a team that's played really well. Some great ball teams down there. I'm glad. I know we talked about this region preseason that it had the potential to deliver some great great performances. Hilton Head put one together there. They won it 42-7, man. Good for those guys as they close out their their regular season.
Yeah, the Troy Timko show had 200+ on the ground, man. Big game for him. That Hilton Head bunch has been resilient. Like, they've beat some good teams. They've lost some teams that were kind of, I didn't think they should have lost to, but they put it together for a big win over Bluffton, man. That region, like you said, has been just a murderer's row. Everybody keeps beating each other up. And then I think they will get a home playoff game, I believe, but they didn't win the region because Bishop England did. But still a really good win there for Hilton Head Island.
Flipping it to a battle of the Red Devils. We had Clennon. Heard you get some flack on the Rob Brown show about that on Friday. It's the Clennon Red Devils facing off against the Liberty Red Devils. But Clennon gets the better of them. They win this one 42-22. Clennon, man, they're another team just playing really good football right now.
Yeah, too much firepower, man, with Cook and Richardson in the backfield. Just two explosive playmakers. The defense for Coach Campbell's flying around again, man. They're a team that I feel like has gotten, maybe not the talk they deserve because they kind of play in maybe not the best 2A conference or 2A region, I guess. So they're kind of forgotten about it, feels like. But I think they have to be, right at the top of the list for 2A contenders, man. They're a really good football team. Their only losses are to Daniel and to Woodruff. They are legit, and that was a great win to clinch the region on Friday night.
20-point victory. Will they drop in the Movin The Chains poll this week? We will see. Who knows? They didn't play last week, went up 3 spots, so we'll see what happens. Going to our SCSA game of the week. We are in SCSA playoffs, so this is either put up or shut up time, or you will go home. How about this one, Kev? I love SCSA ball because you see a lot of repeat matchups, And this one took me by the most surprise of all the scores that I saw. Dorchester Academy knocks off Colleton Prep 45-7. This is a game that Colleton Prep won handily earlier in the season, but the Raiders get their get back when it matters most.
38-12 2 weeks ago, the Warhawks won this game by. Man, it was an odd one. I think I mentioned it on the preview show. Looking at the stats, like they were kind of even. I was like, I don't really know why it was such a blowout. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. But anyway, Colleton Prep won big 2 weeks ago. But then, man, this Friday, John Wetzel got going on the ground, had 348 rushing yards. I think he had like 40 carries, just a great game for him there. John Pottlbaum, the quarterback, threw for like, I think 185, 190. Dorchester just got it going, 400-plus rushing yards on the night. They're a team that is really hard-nosed, really physical, can kind of beat anybody, it feels like. I don't know what happened 2 weeks ago, but, man, they put it together on Friday. They're moving on to the semifinals now after a big win over Colleton Prep.
It's the first time I picked against Dorchester Academy this year, and here they come in a
Can't
big
figure
win.
them out.
Yeah, getting their revenge. I mean, that's the big time to get that done when it matters most. Again, our Hannah Engineering Pick'em contest games, we had River Bluff over Lexington 24-10. Daniel knocking off Cross County, we'll say county line rival there in Seneca 42-21. Hilton Head Island over Bluffton 42-7. Clinton over Liberty in the Battle of the Red Devils 42-22. In our SCSA game of the week, the first round of the playoffs here, we had Dorchester Academy over Colleton Prep 45-7.
And don't forget, folks, we will start our playoff pick'em this week. So if you enjoy doing the regular season, maybe you didn't win, we'll announce the winners on Tuesday, of course, but we'll have our playoff pick'em starting this week as well. So definitely get in that and join that. Brought to you by our friends over at Hannah Engineering.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, Kona, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to kona.care to learn more.
Let's look now at our stock up, stock down segment, Jerel. Teams that impressed us a little bit this week, especially. Let's start with stock up. A couple that I've got. And a bit of a controversial one here because typically we don't put teams who lose on stock up. This week I did. I've got Strom Thurmond, the Rebels, the way they played against Batesburg-Leesville, a game they could have won, had it kind of freaky at the end with it there, but they played really well. The Rebels, I think, are trending up heading into the playoffs. And Hilton Head, you just mentioned them, the big win over Bluffton, a Bluffton team that's had a lot of nice wins this season too. For Hilton Head to blow them out like that was very impressive to me.
Next one's Gaffney. We talked about them as well as a game of the week. They come back to beat Spartanburg, win Region 2 and 5A. We always talk about that region as one of the most difficult in 5A. Impressive performance there for Coach Jones and his bunch in his last regular season matchup before retirement. And Christchurch is a team that dealt with injuries this year. They've dealt with a ton of adversity, lose their first region contest, but rattle off 4 in a row, knocking off rival St. Joe's this week. So that's a good win for Christchurch there.
Yeah, a couple more that I've got. We've got River Bluff. We talked about them, the big win over Lexington. And then Crescent, just hammered a pretty good Walhalla team. Great look there for the Tigers. Really impressed with what they did on Friday.
Yep, another one that I have here, that is going to be North Augusta. North Augusta, we talked about them, knocking off Gray Collegiate to win that region there. Big-time matchup. They score late in that ball game. And then Cane Bay, they beat Berkeley. So that was impressive to see there.
To win the region title.
Yeah, they won the region title, won their last 3 region games as well. So they got hot when it mattered most. I think they finished 3-7 on the year, something like that.
Yeah, Dutch Fork, the game that we were at, self-explanatory there. A big win over another, top 5 team in the state. Great win for Coach Knox's bunch. And then 2 SCSA teams here. We mentioned Dorchester already. Their big win, the bounce-back win over Colleton Prep to move on. And then Wardlaw, an 8-man football team down here that had to travel on the road to Holly Hill, who's a perennial state title contender. Wardlaw beats him by a couple points, and it's a high-scoring game. Great win there for Wardlaw. Anybody else on stock up for you, Jerel?
Not this week. Small slate, small stock up section.
Well, let's flip down to stock down, the inverse here. The teams that did not impress us, did not look good. And I've got a couple here, Walhalla, I just mentioned that, getting blown out by Crescent. Did not see that coming. And then St. James, they lose to a Conway team. They finished the season 0-10. I thought the Sharks were in for a decent season this year, but just did not ever quite figure it out, it felt like.
Yeah, and the last one is Goose Creek here. Stumbled down the stretch, losing to Stratford and Cane Bay to close out their season. This looks like they set up with Chapin in the first round of the playoffs. It is not going to be easy for a team that seems to be reeling right now.
Well, that is our stock up and stock down segment. Look for that graphic on Wednesday night for all of our stock up teams. And now our players of the week, presented by the George Agency, actually insured by the George Agency. Sorry about that, guys. There, love the players of the week. It's always fun to do this, guys. Continue to send us these stats and nominations each week on social media, on email, whatever you want to do. Throughout the playoffs, we're not going to pick one at that point, but we'll still have a whole blog, a whole list of playoff performers we'll put out each week. So definitely continue to send us those. If you send it to us, we're going to promise to read it on the show, and we're going to put it in the blog. So continue to do that even if you don't pick them. But Jerel, another great list of nominees this week. Let's roll through those before we announce our 3 winners.
Hey, man, I just like the messaging there. We're insured by the George Agency. Love those folks down there. Go see them for sure. But we'll start off with a winner from last week. That's Grayson Clary from Daniel. The quarterback there goes 19 of 27 for 374 and 5 touchdowns in their win over Seneca. Anthony Turnbow of Chapin had a 76-yard kickoff return touchdown, a pick 6, a receiving touchdown for 3 on the night, 150 total yards, and 2 tackles. Shane Davidson, the receiver at Gaffney, had 4 catches for 92 yards and 3 TDs. Jamarcus Smith, the Swiss Army knife for Gaffney, had 7 catches this week for 107 yards. You'll have to update your stats for your stats that you have for him each week on Tuesday's show. We got Reese Price of Wren, 22 carries for 200 yards and 4 TDs. Miles Trussell of PD, 3 catches for 110 and 2 TDs in their big first round win in the playoffs there in Skeeza. Colt Bailey of Wardlaw goes 11 of 14 for 274, 4 TDs, also had 23 rushes for 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 tackles, and 5 2-point conversions. Colt, if we could give you if we could do a player of the week multiple times in a season, you would definitely be in the running. Javen Cook, the running back of Clinton, had 7 rushes for 114 and 3 TDs. His QB, Deshaun Richardson, goes 3 of 4 for 91 yards and a score, 4 rushes for 111 yards and another TD. Maurice Anderson, the running back at Dutch Fork, had 20 carries for 166, also had a catch of 30 yards. Michael Martin of Christchurch had 2 TDs in that big win, rivalry win over St. Joe's. Franklin Richardson of Sumter goes 3 of 7 for 82 yards, a TD, 8 rushes for 140, and 2 more scores. Timarius Thompson Durant of Sumter had 9 tackles in 1.5 TFLs and a pass breakup. Cam Fortune of Sumter had 5 carries for 113 and 2 TDs. KD Patterson, the QB at Teal Hanna, had 5 rushes for 148 and 3 TDs. Trey Wembley of Daniel had 4 catches for 157 and 3 touchdowns. Michael Doe of North Augusta had 23 rushes for 130 and a TD, also had 5 catches for 82 yards in that big win over Gray. Justin Rice of Spartanburg, 5 catches for 135 and a touchdown. And John Wetzel, of Dorchester Academy, 40 totes for 348 yards.
It's really cool to hear a lot of repeat, winners already on this list. We mentioned Clary and Price and Bailey. Lots of guys who've already won who continue to put up big numbers. Really cool to see that for sure. But this week's players of the week, we've got 3 great ones again. We'll start with Somad Edie at Riverside. 7 catches for $195, 4 touchdowns, had an INT. Also got an offer from Kentucky on Friday. Awesome there for him. Hats off to Somad. Our second player of the week, Troy Timko at Hilton Head. 24 rushes, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns for Troy. Big game in their win. And then a winner that has won, I think, the past 2 years, once a year, Javon Juju Edwards, man, from South Aiken. 27 rushes, 308 and 4 TDs. This guy puts up huge numbers every week. I mean, he's just got unreal career stats, Jerel. He's had an awesome career there. So hats off to Somad Edie, Troy Timko, and Javon Edwards, our 3 players of the league, brought to you by the George Agency. Once again, insured by the George Agency. Sorry about that.
Insured.
But yeah, 3 great performances, right, Jerel, from Troy, Javon, and Somad.
Yeah, man, just love to see that. Monster performances. Love to see these guys playing their best ball as we get started for the playoffs here next week. So congratulations to each of you, especially a little special for Juju Edwards there. We've had him each of the last few years. Of course, he's like, we're going to have a bonus week. I'm going to have a bonus performance for you guys so you can give me another shirt. So I'm really excited for these guys. Congratulations.
Yep. Once again, guys, send us those stats each week throughout the playoffs as well, and we'll certainly keep shouting out these kids on our show and in our blog. So look for the full blog coming out Tuesday with all these kids listed out, and definitely give them a shout out for sure. Once again, our players of the week insured by the Georgia Agency. And now, a couple notes I've got, Jerel, before I pass it to you. See if you have any. One of them, Cutter Woods crossed the 10,000 passing yard mark in his career. I believe it was this past week. So awesome for Cutter, a guy who's been playing for several years, man, and knows how to sling the rock. Just a great career from him. He's having another great season this year, and awesome, and just hats off to him, the South Carolina commit there. And then one of them that you teased earlier, Cane Bay. They started the season 0-7, won their last 3 games to win the region. That's really cool to see there for the Cobras. Great for them, man. So the only 2 notes I have were those. Anything else you want to add on the notes section this week, Jerel?
Again, another theme of the show is bittersweet. As we roll into the playoffs, a lot of high school careers are going to be, over, of kids that we've been able, and fortunate to cover the last few years. Hearing stuff like, Juju Edwards hitting 2,000 yards last week, on the season, and then Cutter Woods 10K passing yards for his career. We had AJ Brand, similar stuff like that. Lots of these great players. It's cool to see them hit these career milestones and things like that. And then obviously Cane Bay, what a run, man. I love those stories where the teams get hot at the right time, whether it be the end of the season to win a region championship or in the playoffs, so it's really cool to see that.
The Georgia Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call, or check them out online at thegeorgiaagency.net. That's thegeorgiaagency.net. Time for our Folly Row question drill. What do you got for us this week?
It's pretty generic this week, I will say, but we thank Folly Row for supporting the show, and we'll definitely roll this question out as we roll into playoffs on the full scale here. I know Skis has already started playoffs, so high school league playoffs kick off this week. Looking at the brackets and things like that, we went over RPI and all that other stuff, and I know the answer to this is kind of rhetorical. But I'm not a proponent for less football in any circumstance. But are we getting to the point where we start looking at these first round matchups? Do too many teams in the state make it to the playoffs?
In my perspective, yes. I think it's been that way for a while now. It's tough. We were talking off air. We're looking at trying to decide our games of the week for this week. And I was like, I don't know if there's 5 good ones out there to pick. It's a tough slate, man. It's a tough slate. These first rounds are really, really tough. I think we got classes now. I believe 3A, I think everybody makes it. Is that right?
Yes,
and I think,
correct.
5A, I think big 5A has maybe like 1 team not make it, and then 2 in the lower 5A. Whatever it is, man. It's hard to miss the playoffs. We'll put it that way. It's hard to not make it. And I agree with you. I mean, obviously, I want these kids to play more football, and I understand, it's an extra home game for some teams, get some more gate there, some more money there. But I don't know how many folks are going to some of these playoff games that are going to be just playoffs anyway. So really, it's kind of a tough sell to me on that part. But I think now the toothpaste is out of the tube. I don't know how you go backwards. I don't know how you're going to say, hey, instead of having 36 or whatever it is in the brackets, 32, whatever the number is, we're actually going to cut that to 24 moving forward, because I don't think a lot of these coaches and ADs are going to be okay with that. So I don't know if it's possible to go backwards, but I do think there are probably too many that make it.
Yeah, I think it's a situation with the gate for sure. I think that's what it is. But for me, I think the playoff should mean something. I think that should be a sense of accomplishment. I don't think you should go through your season and struggle and then be rewarded, with having the opportunity to play for a championship. when realistically we know that's not going to happen. So yeah, I think there's too many teams here. I think we know why. I would not mind, having more bye weeks or something like that. We're really going to have to scrape the bottom of the barrel. We're going to have to look at, maybe it was a difficult region, and you got a situation where a strong Therm, like they're technically like a 3 seed because of how good their region was. Where they're, going on the road to play somebody that's very good, or you look at some of these 8-9 matchups in some of the higher classifications. So, yeah, I think there's too many in there. Like when I played football, our teams weren't very good, especially my last couple of years, because that's when I grew up and I was a bad player. So, we had no business going on the road and playing some of these teams. So, it is what it is. But we'll enjoy it, though. We'll talk about it, and more football is not a bad thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on our preview show, 7:15 live on Facebook and YouTube on Tuesday night there. But, Jerel, like you said, I don't think we have to cut a whole round out. Let's just cut out a few teams and add some more buys in. We're already doing the buy system now in 5A and whatnot. So, why don't we just add that to some other levels here if we need to? I would love to see that, because we mentioned 3A. I think everybody makes it. There's a couple regions, I think, in other classes too, where literally everybody makes the playoffs from the region. Like that. Like what are we doing here? Like I don't get it. I don't get it, man. It's a tough sell to me, for sure.
To me, that should be an accomplishment. Like, we made the playoffs. We played well enough to have the opportunity to, further our season. And then if you did not play well enough, you shouldn't. It's pretty simple, but it is what it is.
Yeah, great Folly Row question there. We'll have another one for you guys next week as the playoffs roll in. But, man, just another great week of football. Like I said, an abbreviated slate, but still some really big-time matchups that decided a lot of stuff as far as the playoffs go. So we had a lot of good football to check out this past Friday.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this will be, we kind of get a little bit of a lighter slate next week. So it was good to get this one in. And like you said, big-time matchups. Some of the games delivered, some did not. That's the beauty of this. It just shows – who can flex their muscles at the right time, who, some comers and goers. And then you just you see how competitive some of these regions are as well. So it was a lot of fun, watching this past week. Again, I get really excited about the playoffs, not so much the first round, but once we get past that 2-3, it's a lot of fun. And then also when we get to do a preview show on Tuesday, get to, see who we think are going to be legitimate contenders in all of these classifications.
Yeah, on Tuesday, we'll do our preview show about 7:15 on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll obviously break down the first round, that whole slate, but we'll also probably give some more larger, just big picture thoughts as well for the whole playoffs as we get going here. Just give maybe some early prediction or just some kind of ideas of what we're thinking we may see down the pipe. But definitely check us out on Facebook, on Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, movinchains.com. That's MOVINCHAINS. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Stay tuned for some nice previews this week. I mentioned the preview show that we're going to do on Tuesday. May have some other guests join us throughout the week for other parts of the state as well, working on some of that stuff, and a couple coaches as well here that may have a bye or whatnot. We might get them on the show to talk some ball with us, but be on the lookout for that. Get your Movin The Chains merch. Please buy some of these T-shirts, guys. They're really good stuff, high quality. We got a navy blue one, a pink one, a gray one, a black one. Some really nice stuff. Order yours today. Get your hoodies, your hats, your toboggans. You can message us on Facebook or on Twitter. You can email us at mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. Love to have you support us, support the brand. Just really cool to see what you guys have helped us become, and love to have you help us make it even bigger by repping some of our stuff. We saw a lot of folks that we got to talk to at Dutch Fork on Friday who said, I love the show, love what you guys do, that we hadn't met before. So that was really cool. We had a guy that I was talking to and walking up the stairs going to get some concessions, Jerel, and said, "Hey, love you guys' podcast." And I was like, "I appreciate it." We're sitting there at the Dutch Fork Irmo game, and the next thing he says is, "How about them Jerel Braves?" I'm like, "Hey, I love it."
There we go.
Really cool, man. It was a great atmosphere. People from all across the state were there. Got to talk to Coach Crosby and Chanston there from Bamberg Earhart. They were there on the sideline. Got to hang out with them a little bit. So it brought the whole city out and the whole state out for sure. But really cool to see how many folks have found what we do and enjoy what we do. So hopefully continue to grow that. Hope you guys continue to share it and help us make it bigger and bigger, man. There's a lot of folks in this state who like high school football who don't know about us, and we need to do our best to get in front of them however we can.
Yeah, Kev, I'm really excited that you guys were able to do that and meet so many great people and see people that we already know, because that's why we do it. We really want to be a face of high school football in the state of South Carolina and do our best to spread the word. So try to get in front of as many people as possible to showcase how good the coaching, the playing, and the teams and the communities are around the state. We talk about high school football ad nauseum, offline, but we know a lot of people are completely invested in the product that we see each and every single week. So it's exciting. Like I said, I've said it 7 times in this show to at a minimum that I'm excited about the playoffs getting started, so we can see, who's going to hoist that trophy down there in Orangeburg. But most importantly, I'm excited to be a part of this high school football community in this beautiful state of South Carolina. So excited about Tuesday. We'll preview the first round of the playoffs, get that kicked off, and do some fun stuff. But I got one more question before we get out of here, man. If any fans are listening or anything like that, pop in. First round, I know we talked about maybe we should have some more buys. Maybe there's some teams that aren't deserving, but this also gets a little fun where it gets to like baseball or basketball, tournament situations. Who should be on upset alert this week? Who's going to be that team that we don't see coming that may sneak in and win a couple games? I think it was Lancaster last year.
Yes.
Kind of backdoored into the playoffs and really, really got hot there, to start that off. So I'm excited to see who's going to be a spoiler in a lot of these situations.
Yeah, because there's going to be somebody's going to shock the world probably this week and maybe, ride the momentum into next week too. So definitely look forward to seeing that. And like you mentioned, Jerel, I hope you guys get in the show on Tuesday, man. It's fun when you all watch it live and interact with us. It's a lot of fun to have your comments. So please do that. But Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. This has been our Week 11 recap show presented by Folly Row. For Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas. We really enjoyed it, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.